Good morning, Chem 1010 students. This is just a quick update as we begin week 4 to remind you of what's coming up and keep you on track. As we click into our course, the first thing you may notice is that the welcome message pops back up unless you've dismissed it in the last couple of days, and that's because I added a schedule that is in a format that I visualize better. So this may help you. So this is looking at the calendar starting on Monday through Sunday and the due date for all materials. So if we just look at this, we're wrapping up week 3, we're beginning week 4, and it looks like our first due date this week is Sunday for chapter 2. We're going to talk about that. But I would like you to keep your eye each week on what's coming up the next week as well, because you're going to need to start preparing for it. So you can dismiss that. It won't show up again. There will be a news item when you get here for week 4, because that's where I'm going to put this video. And then I'm going to go into the content. So as I go into the content, it's going to open up wherever you were. So let me go back to the top. So we are finished with chapter 1. Oh, by the way, in your getting started, I did also add that schedule to print besides in that pop-up in the Read Me First. So as I come to the getting started, this is probably marked that you haven't read it yet. This one means there's one thing that I haven't clicked on. So this is that calendar that is in the format that I really like, and it might help you too. So let me go back out to the table of contents. We are finished with chapter 1. You finished up all the homework with chapter 1. Remember that in each chapter we've got the experiment, the reflection paper, the homework and quizzes, as well as the content. You should be working on chapter 2. That is part of what you're doing. You started it toward the middle of last week. There is a reflection paper for each chapter. There is an experiment or 2 for each chapter. This week there is only one experiment. So this is chapter 2. We have our typical description of what's going on, the content, which again, each of these sort of tees up what's in that section and gives you some additional videos to watch. These are the links to the chapter 2 homeworks and quizzes. They run just like chapter 1 homework and quizzes did. They take you to McGraw-Hill to complete those. Then the grade transfers to our grade book. For the experiment this week, this experiment is not due until, as you look down here at the bottom, it's due February 15th, which isn't this week, it's next week. But it's quite lengthy and it relies on you getting classmate information. So you need to go ahead and do at least complete the first part of the experiment, actually getting the box of Jiffy Corn Muffin Mix, getting a ruler, and making your measurements and posting them to the discussion board so that your classmates can use them. They will be doing the same, and then you're using a couple of your classmates' data. So go ahead and start looking at that this week and get started at least on the first part of that. It's not due until Thursday of next week, but get started on that. Your experiment 1 and your reflection paper 1 from chapter 1 were due in the middle of last week. I am in the middle of grading them as you watch this video probably, so look for those grades soon. When you do get those grades, when you do look at those, you can come back here and see your submissions. So if I come to the quizzes, all right, if I scroll down to the bottom, I finished experiment 1. This should show that you have an attempt, and when you click on that attempt, you can see any feedback I might have left for it. I can do the same thing in the Dropbox for the reflection paper. Again, this one is finished. If I have an attempt, it's probably going to be here. I should be able to click on it and see any comments or feedback. I can also see that in the grade book. If I go to the grade book and scroll down, I'll see my homework grades, my quiz grades, the experiment 1. If I left you any feedback, you will probably see it here. reflection paper 1, if I left you any feedback, you will probably see it here. So you can click around to the grades tab, the Dropbox tab, the quizzes tab, and see grades as well as previous attempts on those things. I think you can also go to McGraw-Hill and see your previous attempts on your quizzes and your homeworks. And that's going to become important as we move into that first chapter exam. So this week you're working on chapter 2, even though the experiments in the reflection paper aren't due until February 15th. They are due February 15th. I would go ahead and start looking at them and start working on them, at least jotting down notes. Because next week, as you finish those up, you are studying for your first chapter exam. And so you will see information here about the first chapter exam. I'm probably going to go ahead and open that so that you can start seeing information. Right now I can't click on it about the first chapter exam. All right, so that's our week. Be looking for grades. If you ever have any question about any of the grades that you've gotten on any assignments, please don't hesitate to reach out. We do have a discussion board. Let me click to it. I have moved our Experiment 2 discussion board to the top. This is where you're going to be posting your data from the experiment that's due next week. But here is where you can ask questions about lab experiments, homework, quizzes, and exams. So you can ask questions here. I hope this helps.